Oh, I don't think you've ever known a woman like me.
Where's Batman?
I'm just pushing some people and run away.
Ride ain't over yet. My man.
My name is Oliver Queen.
What was that? I should kill everyone and escape? Sorry, the voices. I'm kidding. That's not what they really said.
The bat is dead. Bury it.
What are your superpowers again?
I'm rich. Fuck Batman.
Don't freeze.
Dread it. Run from it. Destiny still arrives.
All the dinosaurs feared the T-Rex.
You are about to die at the hands of the children of Thanos.
Come on, Spider-Man!
Balance is closed today.
We don't want to kill you, but we will.
This is a man. I never freeze. There was no other way.
I don't feel so good.
Welcome back. The Superior Comic Show is back on the air for the first time in hell, even I lost count. We went our separate ways for a while, stopped doing the show, life gets in the way, but I'm back at the minute. Dean is still blowing off some steam, taking some time to himself during this pandemic. Completely understandable, and hopefully we'll have little brother back very soon. But yeah, and this issue 44 of the Superior Comic Show, really thought we would have hit 50 by now. We're going to be talking to independent Irish comic artist and writer Barry Keegan about his experiences as a comic artist and his opinions on all things comics. But first, before we get into that, I want to talk about a couple of things. First, I hope everyone's being safe during COVID, keeping the 2-meter distance, washing hands, wearing masks. All the best heroes do it. The pandemic has been hard on us all, but again, we need to stand together by staying apart. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by the Superior Comic Show. No, in all seriousness though, this pandemic is quite serious, and in Ireland we just started to hit towards the end of it, and our numbers are starting to go back up again because people think because restrictions are being lifted, it means the pandemic is gone. But we are proof, and a lot of places in the UK are proof, that this virus can hit back up and start working again. And it's a very hard worker. Speaking of hard workers, many of you will know it's old news by now, but the Snyder Cut of Justice League will be released on HBO Max. We've seen a couple of short clips of it already, including Superman in the black suit and Wonder Woman looking at an image of Darkseid. Now, again, you'll know my opinions from Twitter. I'm not a huge fan of this. I do get a director's creative vision should be seen by everyone, but some inconsistencies for me. First, Wonder Woman has smiled in the face of gods coming up against her, but yet she's scared of this picture of Darkseid. Doesn't seem like her MO. I'm getting they're probably going to go, this is the scariest villain she's ever seen, but doesn't seem like Wonder Woman's MO. The Superman black suit clip, I like it. I do. I like the black suit. I like the, I'm assuming you're Alfred, in his boring Boy Scout monotone voice. Although Henry Cavill, to me, is the best Superman since Christopher Reeves. But in my opinion, the Snyder Cut has only come about, I'm going to be very harsh here, due to whingers online. DC over-the-top fanboys have attacked, berated, abused, called out creators and producers and workers on Justice League and members of Warner Brothers with the hashtag release the Snyder Cut. I'd get it if it was just a hashtag and you're like, we want to see this. But there was no need for a lot of the abuse so many people had to go through. Fandoms are toxic, everyone knows that. They're a great thing, they're a great idea from the start, until it becomes toxic. And once those toxic elements come in, there's no stopping it. So yeah, that's my opinion on Snyder Cut. Will I watch it? Yeah, more than likely. Well, speaking of fandoms and toxicity, Dynamite Comics is getting absolutely slammed due to some crowdfunding and publishing and getting behind members of ComicsGate. ComicsGate, many of you know, and many of you know we are not huge fans of them. I'd go as far as to say I hate ComicsGate. Now, don't get me wrong here. The idea that they pitch is great. More exposure for independent comic artists and writers. It's what we all want. It gives the independents and the lesser known people a chance to shine. Unfortunately, it became a hate group. Let's just be honest. In my opinion, it became a hate group, and it got all these toxic members who started attacking comic artists and writers and calling them out. And all of this hate and toxicity started over a picture of some comic creators and some milkshakes. Now I'm going to just talk to Barry about this when we have him on the show. I have seen Barry tweet some stuff that relates to ComicsGate. Barry, to me, from what I've heard, from what I've seen, from what I've known, does not seem like one of these toxic people. He seems very inclusive. He seems very supportive of all people in the industry. So getting his side of things is only fair. And you'll probably notice in the interview, and I'm sure Barry will notice as well, I have a degree in journalism, so I'm going to use that, and to the best of my ability, I'm going to try to take personal experiences out of it and be as unbiased as possible. So yeah, other than that, I've started collecting comics again. This new Empire event is starting off well. I'm really enjoying it. Amazing Spider-Man as usual. Looks awesome. But you don't want to hear all that right now. You want to get to the good stuff. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome onto the show the creator of The Bog Road and The Dark Pool, Barry Keegan.
All right, Peter. How's it going?
This meeting's been a long time coming.
Oh, well, look, we're here now, so it's all good, you know.
Your setup looks a lot more professional than mine.
Yeah, because I've been doing a lot of YouTube. Well, not a lot, but I've been trying to do YouTube stuff, and like, because I'm working from home, I have like a standing desk and stuff here. Like, so I got this mic years ago with plans to do stuff, like, and only getting around to kind of using it in the last while, you know.
Yeah, I know. I would get a standing desk, but there's no room with the cot.
All right, yeah. How was your baby, actually? I seen again you were saying you were in Temple
She's
Street.
doing a bit better now, so she's actually sleeping, so I get to sleep.
All right, good stuff, yeah.
So how are you anyway? How have you been doing during COVID?
Good, yeah. Just keeping a low profile, you know what I mean? Like, not doing a whole lot. You know, just like I don't mind sitting in the house a lot of the time, you know what I mean? Like, I suppose from just being grown up drawing a lot and stuff like that, like, but I do miss kind of meeting people, friends and family and stuff like that, like, you know what I mean? Like, what about yourself?
See, I'm a bit of a weird one, a bit of a half introvert, half extrovert, so
Right.
I want to go outside until I was told I couldn't.
Right.
Like, I want to do things.
Yeah, I get that, yeah.
The little ones kept me on my toes, so.
Yeah. How old is she?
She's 1.5.
All right, yeah.
But
That's my wife now is expecting twins, like, so,
congratulations.
yeah, cheers, thanks.
You've your work cut out for you.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be crazy, like, so it's coming soon enough, like, it's the end of September, like, so
Just in time for you to spend loads at Christmas.
yeah.
So I'll get into it then if you're ready.
Yeah. Are you? So you're recording this now and all that? Yeah.
I had it all set.
Perfect. Yep.
I was talking there just before I rang you, the intro to the show, about, have you seen what's going on over at Dynamite Comics now with a lot of backlash going on?
Yeah. I was following that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? It seems mad and just kind of went 0 to 100.
Yeah. Well, like, I would watch a lot of podcasts and YouTube stuff from, like, I suppose every angle. Do you know what I mean? Because you're trying to figure out where's the truth. Because, like, it seems like it's either all one thing or all the other thing, and, like, that's never really there's so much nuance to it, you know what I mean? Like, I think with everything in life, you know, there's no real one answer to everything, like, and what I did see some people saying was that Dynamite had done tons of stuff, tons of covers before this, like, with different ComicsGate people, so why now? Like, why just with this one? You know, like, I don't even know why now, like, to be honest. It was probably maybe it was the creator who's kind of owns that property. Maybe they don't like that creator more or something. So it's there seems to be kind of like I don't know if you call it a double standard, but there's definitely like it depends. You know what I mean? Like even with that Tom King, or is that his name, Tom King? Is it? Yeah. He I was watching a stream the other night, and what people were saying was that Tom King would have known months ago that Jay Lee was doing covers for his books, and that he had done covers for Cyberfrog, and why only now is he coming out saying this, and why didn't he approach Jay Lee before, rather than go onto Twitter and just try and like create this massive thing. And what some people were saying is at the moment, because of I think a lot of the big companies are putting a hold on a lot of different work being made, and so the artists can still do stuff like do commissions and things like that, like, but the writers can't. So I seen someone saying that your man Tom King is just trying to be a bit kind of to put stuff out there to get to keep himself relevant and things like that. Like I suppose it makes sense. Maybe he is, like, you know what I mean? Like, who knows? Like, none of us fully know what's going on in other people's heads and stuff like that. And I think that's a big part of comics, is like everyone trying to guess what's going on and have their own theories and stuff like that, like, you know.
So I think the whole both sides with ComicsGate is, I think it's almost like football. You know, with football fans, there's a lot of bad apples on either side that seem to get publicised more than the good stuff. I myself have had interactions with the negative side of ComicsGate, and I've had interactions with the negative side of the other side of it. Yeah, well, like, that's it. It's kind of like, I know a lot of people are like saying ComicsGate is a hate group. So if there's one or two dodgies in ComicsGate, well, there's plenty of dodgies in the mainstream, like, that's come out, you know, different creators. That editor for Dark Horse, I think he was tied close to Magnola. I don't know his name, but like, he was like sexually abusing some girl in the back of a van. Like, he had his hands down her pants and stuff like that. Like, so if he's with Dark Horse, well, then surely, if you go with that kind of idea that ComicsGate are a hate group, well, then surely the mainstream are all like sex offenders. Like, you know, you can't just tar everyone with the same brush. Like, so I think, to be honest, the reason why I like stuff like this and YouTube is because you can get your message across in a more kind of realistic way, as if you would on the street, or if you're talking to somebody in a comic shop or something. Whereas Twitter seems to be great for sharing things, like, but for having a full-blown conversation, I think just too much gets kind of misconstrued, or people take other people up wrong and things like that. Like, you know, like I've once or twice that's happened to me, where I've just put something on, I thought, oh, this is funny, and then someone will just come in and they like have a go at me, and I'm like, Jesus, that was only meant to be a joke. Like, and so I've just kind of tried to steer away from it. Like, it's almost like arguing with the other half over text. You know, many things can get miscommunicated. So totally, yeah. Context. And like, how as far as like having a bad experience with both sides, like, what was that over? Was that over like opinions on books, or what was it from your experience? Like, again, what you said there, stuff said. I believe there was a Twitter page called Diversity in Comics. Yeah, very vocal, and I retweeted one of his tweets in disagreement with him. Tagged him in it and all, because, you know, the Irish, we don't do things behind people's back. And I got every single one of his followers in the mentions down below, and it was just lines and lines of abuse. Yeah. Like, and I suppose that's what's bad about Twitter, is kind of like, once you comment on someone who has a massive following, it's like everyone just sees that, you know what I mean? Like, and then everybody has their opinion, and like, it might seem from your point of view that, oh, thousands of people are mobbing on me, but I think everyone has their own experience. So person A is saying like, oh, I'm going to comment back to this person, but they don't realize that there's probably another, like, I don't know, like 100 people also commenting on it. Like, so yeah, it can definitely feel like people are ganging up on you. I think, like, I never had a bad, like, I suppose I'm trying to stay away from Twitter to be too kind of opinionated on it, because that's what can happen. You can just get absolutely slammed. Like, it's a minefield, Twitter. Oh yeah, big time. Yeah. There should be courses on how to like navigate through it like successfully, you know. Just stay away from anything political. Just yeah. I think you're better off. Like, definitely. Like my own personal Twitter page, there's nothing on it really. I rarely tweet. I retweet a couple of Liverpool pages, so I'm a huge fan of that, and I'll retweet our own YouTube videos just to get more traction.
Yeah, I think as well, like if you're on Twitter not as yourself, like, you know, like if someone just has kind of an emoji or something, like and it's a little bit more anonymous, I think those people can kind of be a bit more nasty because there's less of a repercussions to them, you know what I mean? Like, but I feel for myself, like that's my name's out there. I'm trying to kind of, you know, get my books out there and get people, you know, buying them and stuff like that. Like, so, you know, you don't want to be kind of pissing anyone off, to be honest. Like, you just want people to come and read whatever it is that you're putting out there and enjoy it. Like, so yeah, I think, yeah, there's definitely people out there who are hidden behind stuff and they can kind of go a bit crazy, like, you know.
Speaking of your books, actually, just getting into that, I was reading up there, Atomic Diner, your first book for them, The League of Volunteers.
Oh, yeah.
My co-host Ian, he's a big Irish history buff. He really enjoyed those books.
Yeah.
Doing League of Volunteers and getting that first book published by Atomic Diner.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Like, Rob Corley is great. Like, I love working with Rob. I think, yeah, it was weird. Like, when I was trying to kind of do actual comic books, like, because I worked for years doing computer games, but I always wanted to do comics, like, and I don't know why I just seemed to kind of get lured off to something that was like a day job, you know. You could go in and work and get paid and stuff, but I was just never happy at it. I done it for years, just never happy. Like, so eventually, I think, you know, when I was in my 30s, I was like, right, I want to try and kind of make a go of comics, or, you know, do something, like, and I hadn't got a clue because I didn't really have any friends who were going to cons or doing anything like that. Like, so I was totally clueless. And a friend of mine who lived in Bristol, there was a convention coming up, so I said I'd go over and see him. I'd bring my portfolio over and just kind of see what happens. I didn't really know, like, what the crack was, like, but Rob Corley was at it, actually just selling books, like, and I showed him my portfolio, and basically after that convention, then he was kind of, do you want to do something together? And then I just met up with him. But like, it was a brilliant experience. Like, what's great is, like, Rob would pay you, you know what I mean? Whereas I think most people would say, do you want to work on this book? And it's great exposure, like, you know, what there's no, there's no money, like, but and like the great thing as well is, like, Rob actually owns like 3 shops now in Ireland. So when you do stuff with Rob, you know that they're on his shelves and he's promoting them. And, you know, if you're off on a Sunday doing nothing, you know that his shop is selling your books, like, you know. And so it's kind of like, it's good to have that extra thing there that's helping you sell, like. And but yeah, it just it was great. Like, at the time, I'm not sure, it felt like the League of Volunteers was kind of something fresh, or something new. And like, we got a great big massive article in the Irish Times, and for me, not having done anything like that, was like this great thing to kind of show your parents and stuff like that, like. And like, ultimately, I suppose it doesn't really mean too much, like, but it is nice to kind of get those little kind of recognitions. And we recently, I don't know which one you've read, if you read the black and white one or the colour one, like, there's like,
Myself.
Right, yeah, because I know we got this colours to work on the Bog Road, and then Rob said to me, do you reckon he'll do the colours for the League? Like, so I just kind of worked with your man and kind of just gave him all the, I suppose, like the designs and stuff, and like, this is what the characters, this is the colour schemes and things like that, like. And he just kind of blasted through and coloured the whole thing again, and it was reprinted as a graphic novel, like. So I was pretty happy with how it looks in the end, you know. Just to kind of look back at how my style is kind of a bit different back then, and but then also nice and fresh to get those colours on top and kind of see it like a bit more complete, like. And I think it's doing well for Rob, like, you know. I think a lot of people who bought the single issues would have went back and bought that just because there was like an extra element with, you know, with the colours and stuff like that, like. So yeah, it was, League of Volunteers is kind of a good memory, like.
And after League, then did you go straight onto working on the Bog Road, or was there in between?
I can't really remember, like. I was trying to think about that, like. There was definitely a while where I was like, I think I realised after after the league, I realized that I still had a long way to go. Like, because in my head, I was like, I want to be a professional comic book artist. So I want to work for Marvel or I want to work for DC. Like, and I kind of realized that I was nowhere close to that. Like, and like a lot of my friends that I grew up with, like they all had kind of good jobs at the time, you know, because like I was in my probably mid-30s at this stage, like, and like they all had great jobs, and like I was still living in my mum and dad's house, like, and like I was basically sitting up in the attic drawing like, I don't know, 12, 16 hours a day, like, and I felt like I was going nowhere. Like, so I actually kind of had this, like, I suppose it was just like an existential crisis where I was like, you know, should I be kind of doing something else? Like, so I ended up going and doing like FOSS courses in IT, and then like all around that time, like, you know, I was kind of studying for exams and things like that. Like, so I didn't really do much comics. Like, I was drawing pictures and stuff like that and just trying to keep my kind of skills there. Like, but it was always there. I always wanted to do stuff. Like, so even when I got back working and I had kind of a regular salary coming in, I felt like the pressure came off then, and I was like, right, I'll do something I want to do. Like, and then I was like, what will I do? And I wanted to do something that just was very kind of Irish, and just something that I would hope that a lot of Irish people would read and just love and be proud of, and maybe say to someone else, like, oh, you like comics, check this out, this is a book. Because like in the Irish comic scene, like there's like a lot of people creating stuff. I think there's more stuff now that's related to Ireland. I think maybe 5 or 6 years ago, it seemed like it was less, people were just trying to do stuff based in America or, you know, like somewhere else. Like, but like there's a lot of stuff that's kind of based in Ireland now, which is great to see, because I think it would be nice in, I don't know, another 10 years to see, like, you know, like a big massive catalogue of books that are all kind of related to different kind of aspects of like Irish culture and just the way of life in Ireland and things like that. Like, so yeah, there was, just to answer your question, there was a big gap. I think I can't even remember how many years, like, before I actually went and done the Bog Road. Like, and with that, I wanted to write it myself, like, because I kind of like the process of the writing and the art all kind of just meshed into the one thing. Like, so that's kind of what I set out to do, like, you know.
Yeah. Bog Road, now that is, I done the YouTube video on it, I've been tweeting about it a lot. It was one of my favourite books I'd read, and it was because of that. I think it was because as I was reading it, it felt Irish. It was, from reading it to the drawing to everything about it, I knew this is from an Irish creator. Yeah. And it resonated with me, and it was something that, even though I'm not a mythical creature, I felt I could relate to, because it was to do with Irish folklore, and it really grabbed me. And I've read it cover to cover, I'd say about 10, 11 times now at this stage.
Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah, no, cheers. I really, really appreciate it. Like, I remember the review you done. It's just like, when you create something, like, that's what you want, you know what I mean? Like, when I looked at your video, I was just smiling the whole way through. And the same with I don't know, do you know the two lads who do the podcast, Michael and Benjamin? Like, they loved it as well, and they got me on the show. And it's just like that type of stuff is kind of, that's like the fuel that keeps you going, you know? Like, there's possibly many more people out there that had the same opinion you did of the book, but I just don't know, you know what I mean? Like, and the only way to know is for people to kind of put stuff online. Like, so yeah, that was amazing video, Peter. I really, really appreciated that at the time. It was classic.
That's no problem at all. But, in the Bog Road, when you were going through it, so how long did it take you to build these characters and build this story before you were able to get it published?
I don't know, have you ever heard of, there's apparently 2 different ways of telling a story. They call it the gardener or the architect. Have you ever heard about that? So apparently the gardener kind of they just kind of plant the seed, and like they kind of write the story as it goes to see where it's going to go, whereas the architect has everything nailed down, like from start to finish. They know like every little nook and cranny of the story. Like, so with the Bog Road, I kind of had a vague idea of what I wanted to do, but I said, like, really I wanted to kind of just get drawn pages and like just kind of figure out like as far as like inking and stuff like that, like how I was gonna do that and things like that. Like, and just I was so excited to start it like that. I didn't really have a lot of the story like completely nailed down. Like, so like I think like the vague idea I had was about a creature in the bog having a dispute with like these people who where the government had put a road through the bog, like, and so I kind of started out with that, and then when I got to a certain way in the story, I had been thinking a lot more about it. So then that's where some of the other characters came in, like Meister Spore and Barrow and stuff, and I was like, right, these should be other characters that are kind of the point of view characters for some of the story, like, and they're kind of, they know with this kind of spirit world and how things work and things like that. Like, and then as you're going, I'm like, well, there needs to be kind of someone else, like, you know, like a character who's going to just like kind of like a bad character, you know what I mean? Like a bad human character. Like, so yeah, like there was a lot of just trying to figure things out as I went along, and like sometimes it was kind of these happy kind of accidents where I was like, actually maybe I could do this with this character and stuff like that, like, and like overall it probably took me over 3 years to do the book, like I'd say, and that was like I was living in Port Arlington that whole time when I created the book, like, and it was all heavily based around that area because you know, I like to go out hiking and stuff like that and just checking out like different locations and stuff. And I wanted to kind of tie all the story around that. And yeah, so like I was living down there. I was commuting to Dublin every day to work in IT. So like sometimes I'd come home and I'd be so tired, like I'd probably spend half an hour, I'd draw a panel or something, you know, and then go to bed and go back to work the next day. Like, so it was always trying to just keep that momentum, keep going. And I just said to myself, like, it'll pay off in the end, you know what I mean, when you have the book finished. Like, and what kind of worked out well was that while I was working on it, I met Rob Curley just by accident in the Jervis Street shopping centre, and he was like, what are you up to? And I told him I'm doing a graphic novel, and he was like, oh, you know, send me on some stuff, like, and then he was like, I'll publish this, you know, if you want. And I was like, at the time I was like, I was kind of half thinking like, I'd love to just submit it to Image Comics or something, you know, see if they were interested. And I did send it to Declan Shalvey, and I said, what do you think? I didn't even say to him, would Image be interested in this? I just wanted his opinion, like, and he was like, you know, this is great, like, it's brilliant. And he said to me, you should just send it into Image and see what they think, like. And like, I never heard back from them. So then I just thought, look, Rob is, you know, he's got the 3 shops, he's gonna like sell this like crazy, like, so it was kind of a no-brainer. And we've worked together before, and you know, like, what I like about Rob is like, he is all about the business. And you know, when we were talking about it, he was, you know, he was doing all the kind of price and stuff like that, and how much we should sell it for, and all these types of things, like, so so yeah, that kind of worked out quite well.
Well, the time you spent on it anyway really worked, because I remember reading it, and almost every second page I was changing who my favourite character. I was like, Moises Spore came up, like, yeah, love him, yeah. You know, the monster in the ball came up, yeah, love him, yeah, favourite character. And it was just, by the end of it, I was like, I don't even know who my favourite is anymore.
Yeah, because I didn't know if I was given enough for people to realise who these characters were, like, because I think about them in my head, and I'm like, do people reading the story think that about them, or do they have different ideas about them? So like, it's always kind of like, a lot of people say you should respect the reader and not give them too much because they're smarter than you think, you know, and they'll pick up on things. So I was constantly trying to look and maybe take out certain lines of dialogue that was trying to explain things too much, and I was trying to kind of just leave it a little bit more almost as if there was just a camera watching things unfold, and there was enough there for kind of people to figure out what was going on, like, and but yeah, no, it's cool that you were jumping from character to character, and yeah,
I love that it wasn't. I found that some books can be over narrated in terms of the dialogue boxes, but with the Bog Road, it gave me enough to really get into and like the characters, but also left me with, oh, I wonder what's going to happen next, or oh, I want to know more about him.
Yeah, brilliant. Oh, that's what I wanted. Like, yeah, that's totally what I wanted. I was hoping people would be just turning the pages and going, "Yeah, I need to know more." And I've spoken to some people at like these kind of little mini kind of. They wouldn't be comic cons; it'd be kind of like little comic marts. And a few people have read it, have come and kind of said things like that to me as well. And they were trying to theorize, you know, in the next book, are you going to bring this character back and different things like that? Like, so it's great to have that kind of conversation with people, you know, who've read it. Like that's kind of another bit of fuel that makes you just happy that you've done it. Like,
yeah. And then after that, then it was the Dark Pool.
Yeah, like that's originally I said to Rob, like, Rob, I can't do like another graphic novel because I'll disappear for like probably another 3 years. Like, and I said, can we do it in single issues? Like, and he was like, yeah, no problem. Like, and so we put the first issue out, and then I met up with Rob, God, months ago, like, and basically he said to me, look, he said, the Bog Road is still selling brilliant. He says, well, a lot of people come in and they'll say like, I'll just wait till the sequel comes out in a graphic novel. Like, so in the end, we made the decision. We said, right, we won't do any more single issues because financially it's not worth it. Like, so I think I've got three issues done now. Originally it was going to be a 4-issue thing and then a trade. So like I've a quarter of the book left to do now. Like, and it's like this was done a bit more like an architect type story. Like, I knew everything about it. Like, I says, right, I'm going to plan this out properly and try and do it as much justice as possible. Like, so but what I wanted to do as well was kind of build on some of the characters who had already been in the first book. Like, so there's kind of a bit more focus on some of those characters, and then bring in a new kind of standalone story, you know what I mean? Like, so each book can have its own kind of standalone story, but some of the characters are still kind of connected. And so yeah, I'm basically working away on that at the moment, Peter, just trying to get it done and try and get it done before well, I'm not going to get it finished before my wife has these 2 babies, like, so I don't know how I'm going to do it while they're there. Like,
Trust me, you'll have plenty of sleep to work on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm gonna have a drawing board set up somewhere or something like that. But like, it's grand because I have every single page, all the layouts done, like, and like the dialogue, everything's done. Like, so it's just kind of a matter of sitting down. I don't have to think on going, right, what's the next page? And then I'm like, oh yeah, it's this page, and then I just have to start drawing it. Like, so there doesn't have to be too much of the planning stuff done. That's all kind of sorted, you know what I mean? Like, so, but like, I can't wait to get it finished and just get it published, and hopefully the people who picked up the first book will buy this one and enjoy it. Like,
do you want to just give the listeners a brief synopsis of a teaser for the Dark Pool and what they're...
Yeah, so it's basically, so there's 2 characters in it. They're all kind of school friends, and they're kind of reunited, where one of them comes across the other one, and he's in the Grand Canal in Dublin, and he can't leave the water. Like, he's basically, when he leaves the water, he just collapses. He starts getting sick everywhere. Like, and once he goes back in the water, he's fine. So that's kind of the setup where he tells his old school friend that I have this something inside me. It tells me I need to travel up the River Liffey. There's something up the River Liffey that I need to get to. Like, so I really wanted to focus on the Liffey because you know, that's the main kind of nature kind of aspect to Dublin, like city centre, and there's a lot of history around that. And like the like Dublin or Dublin translates to either the Black Pool or the Dark Pool. And I didn't
that next
I didn't want to call it the Black Pool because Blackpool in England, it just would have been a bit confusing. Like, so I don't know, I think the Dark Pool sounds cooler. Like,
sounds intriguing.
Yeah. And at the same time, basically the spirits of nature, they have kind of gotten word, the spirits from the Bog Road who are in Laois, like, they have gotten word that the spirit Liffey has gone missing. So they have to travel to Dublin to kind of figure out where she's gone, like, and that's all I'll say. That's kind of the setup, like, you know what I mean? I won't say anything else, like, but yeah, and like, I want to kind of have a few little just little kind of messages regarding like, I suppose I tried to kind of tap into the drink driving thing from the first book, like, so just maybe a few little things like that just to put in there as well, like, not that they're main parts of the story, but kind of just little aspects and stuff like that. Like,
Looking forward to seeing what's in this one, because I will say that drink driving one from the Bog Road, it was subtle but powerful at the same time.
Yeah, because I didn't know if I should have push that more, or I was like, is that enough? Because I don't really want to come across in any of my stories where I'm preaching to anybody or trying to kind of bang anyone over the head with any kind of message. Like, I think if you kind of have maybe characters that have different opinions and one sees it one way and the other sees it another way, that's kind of probably the best way to do it, you know what I mean? Like, to get those types of things across. Like, so yeah, hopefully this story works out similar, like, and people kind of get where I'm coming from, like.
I'll be keeping my eyes anyway on the shelves and Subcity for when it comes out.
Yeah, oh man, I'll be plugging it big time when it comes out. I'll be hoping everybody retweets it, and I'll I think I was talking to Rob, like, we'll try and do some kind of like signing and hopefully for the launch. But I know Rob, like the last time when we done a Dublin sign, and Rob said we'll do it in Forbidden Planet, like, because he just felt like that I think he said to me at the time, like, they just have a bigger space, bigger shop, they get a lot of customers, you know what I mean? Like, and like, Rob's not only invested in his shop, he's also invested in the Bog Road as a book. Like, he's like, if we sell more of that in other comic shops, all the best. Like, and I think he done a lot with just all the other shops in Ireland, trying to get them to sell it and stuff like that. Like, and like, I know I could have done that myself, but it's just, that's more time away from drawing. Yeah. And it's just good to have somebody else who's kind of like, even people who buy it online, like Subcity look after all that. They do all the shipping and everything. Like I've had plenty of people kind of contact me saying, how do I get this book? And I just send them onto Subcity and then they sort it out. Like, so it's great. Like,
I've had people asking me now on Twitter through messages, is the Bog Road available on Comixology? I think there's a lot of interest in reading it online. I think digital is coming back up now with comics. Myself personally, I'd rather have the actual physical comic in my hand, but I know a lot of people prefer to read them digitally now.
Yeah, I prefer the physical copies. I actually can't read a book or read a comic or anything online. Like, it's just my preference. I like that experience of just sitting down and reading something. And I don't know if we'll ever put it on Comixology, like maybe in years to come. Like, but I think at the moment we just wanted to have a comic or a graphic novel. That's the only place you can get it from, you know what I mean? Like, as in, like, that's a special kind of experience, whatever. Like, buy it, read it, kind of. So yeah, maybe one day we'll see what happens. Like,
for now, look, if it's still selling well and if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and to be honest, what I think maybe that I didn't think of too much at the time, what Rob told me, we kind of tapped into a market that like, a lot of people would come to Ireland just on holidays, and a lot of them would be comic fans, and they might pass Subcity and go, oh, let's have a look in here. And a lot of people say, do you have any like graphic novels set in Ireland or Irish comics, something like that? And they all, like, the staff will always say, oh yeah, this book, The Bog Road. Like, and most people, they don't even open it and look at it, they just buy it, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, people want a book, an Irish book, like, and
holiday,
like, it even
for comic fans kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Because I remember a few years ago, I was on holidays in Greece on Rhodes, the island Rhodes, and there was like a bookshop, and we went in, and I kind of came across a little graphic novel section, and it was a Greek kind of graphic novel, and I just bought it straight away. I like the artwork. I was like, definitely getting this. Like, and I thought to myself, this is what people are thinking when they're in Ireland and they see like the Bog Road. Like, so it's done really well for tourists, like, which is great. Like, that's kind of kept its longevity going, like, definitely. Like,
and then with Dark Pool, I'm sure people are gonna, again, anyone who hasn't read it yet, once they hear about the Dark Pool, you're gonna get more sales from that. They're gonna want to buy number 1 before they read number 2.
Yeah, hopefully, like, yeah, that's what I'm hoping. And just hopefully all the people who liked issue 1 will kind of, help just push it and share it and stuff like that. Like, because I know, like that's what I love about comics is like the fan base can be so kind of loyal, you know what I mean? Like, and if there's a book that they love telling people about it and kind of sharing it and being the one that said, oh yeah, I found this book and you need to check it out and stuff like so. Hopefully, like a lot of the people who've bought the first will help sell the second. Like,
so with comics, when you were growing up, obviously a comics fan, who were your kind of inspirations in terms of art and writing?
Yeah, like it just changed constantly. Like the first, like I think, like I would have had things like, you know, like the Beano and like 2000 AD, but for whatever reason, like I thought it was cool, but it never just captured my imagination or kind of turned me into a fan. Like, and then a guy in my class, I think, had a comic book or something. I was like, where did you get that from? And at the time, Forbidden Planet was the only comic book shop in Ireland, I think. And he told me where it was. I was 15, so I went in, and I remember just walking in, and I was like, holy shit, like, it was like wall-to-wall comics, like, and at the time, the X-Men cartoon was on TV, like, so I just picked up whatever issue of X-Men was there, like, and it was, the artist was Andy Kubert. So for years, he was my favorite artist. Like, I just loved Andy Kubert, and then I kind of got onto Image, and just like J. Scott Campbell, Travis Charest, Jim Lee, Chris Bacalo, Joe Mad, you know, like all those kind of artists. And then you start to get into, I remember there was like this Weapon X story, and it was Barry Windsor Smith, and I was like, wow, this guy's amazing. Like, and I was like, it's such a different style. And so like, yeah, I don't know, it's like over the years, like just those names I mentioned were all like massive influences. And I'm trying to think of, like, I was a big Wildstorm guy. Like, I loved, like, anything from Wildstorm at the time was great. And then even, like, I suppose there's a lot of artists online now that are doing books that, well, they might do an issue here, an issue there for DC or Marvel, and I'm like, I'd love if they just had a book, like, you know, like a big kind of solid kind of graphic novel that I could buy. Like there's a few creators that done a Rob Liefeld kind of reimagining of one of his characters, Prophet, and I love that series, that Image series, and the artists on that, like, they're kind of a bit more weird kind of style, not real mainstream style. Like, there's one guy called Simon Roy, and then there's a guy called it's kind of a Greek sounding name. I could not pronounce it, like, but and then there's another fella, Farrell Dalrymple, like, but that book series, it's real kind of crazy sci-fi, and I loved that, like, absolutely loved that. Like, but yeah, I think my main kind of inspiration was anyone who was kind of working on X-Men or X-Force or like the Wildstorm books. Like, that was kind of the where it all started, like, you know, what kind of got me into it, like, yeah.
So in terms of, you said you kind of always wanted to get that call from Marvel or DC or Image, and then you spoke as well about talking to Declan Shelby. As comic artists, all the Irish comic artists, do you all stay in contact? Do you all know one another? Or is it kind of just...
No, not really. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, I always feel like a bit of an outsider, like, that I don't really know any of them, you know, and I don't know, I know some of them are friends, because I think a lot of them would have, for years, gone to conventions together and to try and break in and stuff like that. So they probably would have spent a lot of time, like, together. Like, but like, I know I would talk to them, but like, yeah, I don't personally be chatting to any of them on a regular basis. Like, you know, obviously I've got huge respect for them all, because I think to be a comic book artist, a professional comic book artist, like, I work in IT as a day job, and like, that is easy compared to being a comic book artist. Like, it's so less stressful, it pays better. Like, it's hard to be motivated to be a comic book artist. Like, if you're one of the best, then it's worth it. You know, you can make a lot of money. Like I suppose I always wanted to do comics, but I also wanted to get paid well. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't know how well the Irish artists are doing now of it. Like, you know, I don't know if, like, I'm not privy to any of that. Like, they might talk amongst themselves, like, but you do see a lot of stuff online where it's not the most lucrative for a lot of people, and a lot of people just they kind of struggle day to day, you know, just to work in their dream job and stuff like that. Like, and I think that's where I changed my focus from wanting to work for Marvel or DC, where I was like, if I just do my own stories and then maybe one day, you know, one of them takes off, there's a lot more money in you owning the idea rather than you being the hired artist to come in and do the job, like, you know. So that's like, I love, to be honest, I love following creators that do their own develop their own stuff and do their own IPs. And what's great about the whole crowdfunding thing is that you really can just directly talk to the customer now, and like, if you get a big enough following, you know, you can make a lot of money on it, like, you know, with all the merchandising and all that type of stuff, like, you know. So it's pretty cool.
Where's the Bog Road cups?
I know, yeah. Like, the weird thing is, like, when my mindset has changed. Like, when I done the Bog Road, I kind of wanted to do a story that was very in my head. I was like, I want something that's very kind of artistic and not where it's trying to be mainstream, or not where it's trying to kind of sell gazillions of copies and stuff. It was very much this kind of like, I wouldn't call it a passion project, but just I wanted to do a story about something very specific. And because I had my own job, I could do that, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have to kind of bow to anyone. I didn't have to say, right, we need to do a book about zombies fighting Nazis, or like, you know, there's so many books out there where they're just trying to I suppose they're trying to follow the fans and see if they'll buy it because they bought another book like that. Like, so I could kind of do whatever I wanted. So I think the Bog Road and the Dark Pool, they're, to me, not really books that are what people would buy merchandise for. I could be wrong, like, you know what I mean? Like I'd like to do, after this story, something a bit more mainstream and just a bit more kind of blockbustery, and kind of something that a lot of people would get into, like, just have big muscly men and hot babes and stuff like that, like, you know.
Here's my next question. In comics, in terms of Irish, we, like, especially the mainstream comics, you had the likes of Banshee back in the day, but now kind of the Irish characters are more kind of filler characters than anything else. But yeah, we have Captain Britain in Marvel for England. Could you be the one to bring a mainstream Irish superhero through?
I don't know. Like, I think, like, I've got some ideas where I think there's always going to be some Irish element in any book I do. Like, I just can't help myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, it has to go in there. Like, and like, it's weird. Like, a lot of people in the indie scene in Ireland have done Irish superheroes and different things like that. Like, and I think it hasn't kind of taken off just because, like, I just don't think it's at that, like, professional top level. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't even feel I'd like to think I'm getting there, you know what I mean? Like, but I'd like to one day feel like what I'm doing is, like, really good stuff. Like, and maybe then if I had a good kind of following, I would try and push, like, a proper Irish superhero, like, you know, because I love superhero stuff. Like, I find it hard to kind of read all the Marvel and DC stuff now because there's just so much of it. And a
lot of events and tie-ins, and
yeah, like, I remember when I was reading X-Men, like, there was none of that. Like, it was just each month, you know what I mean? Like, and you felt like you could follow it. Like, and then I remember Age of Apocalypse, which that did blow me away at the time, but that was the first time I realized, hang on a second, I have to buy a ton of other books just to kind of follow this. I think that's what pushed me away from Marvel even back then. Like, I started to read, like, you know, the Image stuff, like Cyberforce and Wildcats and things like that, because it was just this one story, like, and I was like, right, I can afford this, like, you know. So yeah, I don't know where I was going.
It does seem a lot of people share your opinion with Marvel, the love of Marvel books, but when it comes to an event, they're kind of like, no, I'm staying away from it. They're just trying to siphon too much money out of me with the tie-ins.
Yeah. But, like, even I wouldn't this is stuff I learned just from watching videos, but it seems to me that the Venom series is probably one of the more popular ones with Marvel. And is that just because they have the same creative team, like, isn't that your man Ryan Stegman and Donny Cates? Like, and I think they've been doing that for a long time, and I don't believe that there's tons of crossovers and stuff with that. Like, would I be right in saying that?
There's the Venom one's kicking off now. I believe number 3 is selling like crazy online because it's the first appearance of the symbiote god. So everyone's gonna try and snatch that because Marvel are doing a big event with it this December.
Right.
Venom is, I've been reading it myself and keeping up with it. I met Donny Cates at signing in Big Bang Comics, and he's a lovely bloke. And his writing style is just, it's something different. It's not the Venom you would have read years ago, but still holds those little elements that you like.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't a fan of Agent Venom because to me Venom was always a villain.
Yeah.
Donny Cates now is he's putting the villainous aspects in there, but still has him as an anti-hero. So
right, yeah, I get you.
Interesting read now, I must say.
But why, Peter? Why do you think that? Because that is kind of one of the more popular books in Marvel, isn't it? At the moment, why do you think
popular
it is?
I think it's what you said. I think it's the same creative team has been on it for so long that I've seen it with Amazing Spider-Man. Once Dan Slott went off it and they switched creative teams, I'm a Spider-Man aholic, and it didn't catch me as much after Dan Slott and there was a new creative team.
Right.
As when they change creative team, they like to make their own changes and put their own mark on the book.
Yeah.
Venom, Donny Cates, and Ryan Stegman have had a good run, and they've drawn people in, and people are attached to the book now.
Right. Yeah. Because I don't know. If I think I heard before that Marvel went away from wanting the same creative team all the time because of what happened with like Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri all leaving Marvel because they had these long runs on the books. They had become these big names and then they walked away. Like, so I don't know if that's why Marvel don't seem to want that anymore. Like,
I'd say it could be a huge aspect. I think Donny Cates has put himself in a good position now where they can't walk away from him. I think the fans demand it too much. You know, he's writing more now as well, and he's done Cosmic Ghost Rider. I think if they were to get rid of Donny Cates, or Donny Cates was to walk away, I think their sales would plummet, especially in terms of Venom.
Yeah, and like I think they should go back to that model, you know, like they should have all the books like that. And like, to be honest, I think if they didn't have those events in time, if you just had like two like amazing artists and a writer on like an X-Men book within like a few months, like I think you would start to get that following back, and people would, you know, just enjoy those kind of that one stream of consciousness kind of story, you know what I mean? Like, rather than tons of other shit like everywhere. Like,
I think even in the comics now, they're trying to chase the MCU formula. You know, all the movies are tie-ins to Infinity War and Endgame, but it's too much money for the average fan. Like, even X-Men books now, they've like at one stage 2 years ago they had like 6 different teams with 6 different books. And you just couldn't.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, to me, X-Men was always my favorite kind of comic series, but I haven't got a clue what's going on in it anymore. Like, just I don't even know if I care. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's
almost like they overthink their ideas. You know what I mean? They have a great idea, and then they're like, right, we need to flesh it out more. And it's like, no, you should have left it the way you had it about 20 ideas ago.
Yeah. Like, are they bringing in new villains or anything in it anymore? Like, whenever I look at it, I see Mr. Sinister and Apocalypse and stuff like that. I'm like, is there any new bad guys in it? Like,
well, there's the Null now, who's the symbiote god in Venom. He's the new latest big bad.
Right.
That's an interesting one.
So he's across the whole Marvel universe. Is he, like, kind of?
At the minute, he's only featuring in the Venom books. He's being referenced in other books, but he's only really showing up in Venom.
Right, interesting. Yeah.
The minute now, only recently, Eddie Brock has told the Avengers about him, so it would be interesting to see now whether there's going to be more tie-ins and whether they're going to ruin the best book they have.
Yeah, well, they might if they turn it into this massive event. That could ruin it. Like, you know, you never know.
They've given Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman so much time to build momentum. It would be a shame if they kind of halted it now.
Yeah. No, I think so. Like, to be honest, I'd love to see all just indies, all the big companies all doing well and massive sales and lots of creators just on good money, and you know what I mean, like just big conventions. And I'd love to see all that stuff. Like, it doesn't feel like it too much anymore, like, but that might come around, like, you know.
Yeah, you'd hope so. You'd hope that, you know, we could have a world where all the comic companies and all the indies are just in harmony and
Yeah,
enough money to live a good life.
exactly. Yeah.
But yourself now, you mentioned the X-Men a lot. So would you have been more Marvel than DC?
Yeah, I don't know why it was at the time. Well, I think it was just down to the X-Men cartoon, and I just wanted to read X-Men comics. Like, and I remember that first book I bought. I went home and I was reading it, and there was like X-Men characters in it that weren't in the cartoon, and then, you know, it was at this different place compared to where the cartoon was, and suddenly this whole world opened up, like, and like that's it. I was just sucked in there, like, and then for years I just, like, I would see all the DC stuff, but I just hadn't got the money to buy more, like, and I just loved, maybe it was because they were the first books I bought, but I just kind of loved that, you know, just the kind of cross-hatching kind of style. It didn't seem like there was as much of that in the DC books at the time, like, but like I would have read some DC books, like you know, like the Dark Knight and stuff, anything that was kind of themed as, you know, the brilliant stuff, like, but yeah, I don't really know much about DC. Like, I watched the movies and stuff. Like, I'm not even a huge Batman fan, to be honest. Like, I know he's probably like the biggest character out there, like,
Trust me, you don't want the crap you get for saying that on Twitter.
but no, like, I respect it, and it's like, I know he's the big, like, I would go on to Reddit's comic book, the subreddit there, like, just to kind of, sometimes you get, you know, you'll see different news stuff and things like that, like, and I swear, like, I'd say 9 out of every 10 posts is a Batman one, like, you know, so they should probably just rename it Batman rather than comic books, like.
It's him and Spider-Man are just seem to be two heroes who just always held their popularity and held their loyal fan base.
Yeah,
they've never kind of gone downhill.
Yeah, like, I think I would be a much bigger fan of Spider-Man than Batman. I think it's just a bit more optimistic. Like, I think Batman's cool, but I was just never into the really, like, dark, depressing stuff. Like, yeah, and I remember the whole Clone Saga. Like, a friend of mine was buying that at the time, and he would give me the issues, and I'd read them. And like, I don't think that's really looked back on as a
not well kind of, at all.
Yeah, but because I had no context, you know, I just come in and it was like there was a clone of Spider-Man, and I was reading. I thought it was amazing. Like, you know, I was just like, this is really cool. Like, but yeah, I was just a blow-in. Like, you know, obviously other people had long history with Spider-Man. Like, so.
It's the same example. I started reading comics in 2000, so I was 6. I got the first issue of Ultimate Spider-Man, and that was kind of my intro to comics. And all my opinions from Spider-Man come from that. And then I have people who've been reading them since the 60s. Then, oh no, your opinion's wrong. This is right.
Yeah, and like, that's it. Like, everybody has their jump on point, and that's kind of what it means to them, isn't it? Like, so.
It's funny because they say, oh, Spider-Man in the 60s was doing this, and I was like, mate, I only started reading in 2000. In the 60s, I wasn't even born. So, how am I supposed to? It's a lot of, you get the odd man who's gatekeeping like that, you know, who are like, oh no, if you want to get into Batman or Spider-Man, you have to read the last 80 years of comics.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe they should have, like, some of the books work where it's kind of like, you know, the mantle gets handed over to a new character. I think that can kind of work well. But, like, yeah, if you have the same character who's been around and hasn't aged, it can get confusing. And like, even I know with the whole Iceman thing, when they made Iceman gay, and like, people were going nuts, like, and there was probably a better way to do it because he had so much history. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it was like, I don't know how they actually executed it, but it sounded like it was like literally overnight they were like, he's now gay, kind of like. And there's definitely, I think, a lot of people, as I was saying earlier, they're just like so loyal to their characters, you know what I mean? Like, and then when that happens, they go absolutely ballistic. Like,
I've had conversations with people like that, and myself now, I'm just laid back about it. Like, they could make Spider-Man gay overnight, and I'm kind of like, listen, as long as he's going out in his red and blue tights and saving the world, I don't care who he's getting into bed. just show me him kicking the head off Mysterio, and I'm happy. It's kind of, people do have, like you said, they're very loyal, they get very attached to a character, and if anything's changed about them, there is uproar.
Yeah, Yeah, and I don't know that I don't know if that's always been in comics or like it doesn't seem to be in other kind of industries. And what I think what someone said before was because the fans have direct access to the creators, like they can actually literally talk directly to the creators. So it's kind of there's that feeling of they're like really connected with it, like, and so maybe I don't know, maybe that's part of it. Like,
kind of places I've seen similar interactions would be the Star Wars fans. They get very out of hand on Twitter. And
there's that's a whole big thing in itself, isn't it? Like
them, and then there's the Snyder Cut fans.
Oh yeah, because that's actually there is a Snyder Cut coming out now, isn't there?
I find it funny. I talked about it before, and I got shit for it, making a joke that they basically cried and moaned until they got what they wanted, and they were not happy that I brought that up.
Yeah, I suppose I like you're saying about football teams. Like I think comics is the same. You know what I mean? Like
there's always battles, no matter which side you're on. Someone's gonna spoil the fun for everyone else.
Yeah. I think like there's obviously there's the fun side of the arguments, and then there's obviously the bad side as well. Like what I mean?
Like I'd rather argue, not even argue. I'd rather have actually proper discussions like with yourself here about it than it going 0 to 100, which I've seen again both sides. I've talked to people in the ComicsGate community and had a civilized discussion with them, and then I've talked to others who it's almost like schoolyard stuff. You say anything to them, it's like, yeah, you're ma.
Yeah, well, like that, and the thing is, you don't know who you're talking to. Like you could be talking to a 13-year-old or a 40-year-old, like what I mean, like, and that can kind of dictate as well the interaction and stuff like that. Like so, yeah, it's just I think things like this we were talking about already, but things like this, having a conversation like this, just works so much better. Like
Yeah, and honestly, I just rather enjoy comics than have to. I'd rather leave all that stuff out. The arguments I'd rather just enjoy my comics and talk about what I enjoy. But some people just try to drag it into the arguments, and it's on both sides as well.
Yeah. Look, it's really good reality TV sometimes as well, I have to say. Like,
still don't know how Twitter's free. Listen, I won't keep you too much longer. You have a pregnant wife there, so I'm sure you're going to be needed to do a lot.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I'm sure you're basically on call. I'm surprised you don't have a pager attached to your belt.
Yeah, no, plenty of jobs. Like plenty. I to be honest, I got all today's jobs done earlier in the day. Like so, now I'm gonna go and take the dog for a walk, and then do some dark pool. Get the old drawing board out and do another page. Like,
oh, there we go. We'll be waiting for the release date. So
yeah, nice.
So yeah. Listen, thanks for coming on. Before you go, do you want to just kind of plug your YouTube channel and your Twitter so that people where to find you and information on the Dark Pool?
Yeah, I think everywhere. Like, actually, if you just go to barrykeegan.com, like all my links are there. It's pretty much YouTube is Barry Keegan, Twitter is Barry Keegan, Instagram, Facebook. That's Barry Keegan Comic Art. But I don't really update that too much. Maybe I should do it. But yeah, just give me a follow, give me a share or whatever, like, and buy the book. I don't know. That's all I have to say on that at the moment. I need to get better at promoting stuff. Like, that's definitely an aspect that a lot of creators need to get good at. Like, but yeah, I suppose as far as the Dark Pool goes, I'm busting my ass on the artwork, on the story. I'm trying my best on this. I want a story that's going to be just brilliant as far as Irish comics goes, and I just want people to read it and enjoy it and really feel like they're proud to live in Ireland, be from Ireland, just and to be able to kind of put it out there amongst all the other comics and say to people, here, check this out, this is from Ireland. Like, and yeah, thanks for having me as well, Peter, I have to say, really appreciate it.
Go buy the Bog Road, get ready for the Dark Pool. Barry is an incredible artist and writer, and he's about to have 2 kids to feed, so support your own.
Nice one, man. Thanks.
Well, thanks very much for coming on, Barry. And listen, I hope your wife is doing well, and I hope the rest of the pregnancy goes smoothly.
Cheers, man. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much. Thanks.
Good luck. Bye.
That was Barry Keegan. We'd like to thank him again for coming on the show. Very insightful interview, and some very interesting snippets by Barry there, especially in terms of ComicsGate. Now, listening and not going on the defensive or feeling the need to go on the defensive, again, to me, has reiterated in my head what I said in the introduction of the show. The base idea behind ComicsGate was a good idea. The first mistake was calling it ComicsGate. You know, the base idea was great. They'll get independent comic writers and artists and get them some exposure. But unfortunately, it hasn't worked out that way. Again, any supporters of it, I will go and I will get their side. I will get their opinions on what is going on. Unless I have been abused by them. I'm sorry. Once you start throwing abuse at me, the abuse is going to get thrown back, or you're just going to get blocked. It's just the way it is. But yeah, no, very, very insightful interview with Barry. I really enjoyed it, and hoping when the Dark Pool eventually releases as a full graphic novel, he'll come back on the show and talk more about it and about possibly his next work. I'd like to wish him and his wife all the best with the pregnancy. They're in for a wild ride. So yeah, any of the American fans listening, go to subcitycomics.com or barrykeegan.com. Get yourself a copy of The Bog Road. I've done a YouTube video on it a while back. It is outstanding in terms of writing, in terms of visuals, in terms of character development. And I'm really excited to see the finished product of the Dark Pool, and I think everyone should buy that as well. And don't forget to follow Barry. He plugged all his social medias at the end of the interview. We shall be back hopefully in 3 weeks time maybe, and on the show we're going to be talking about the Avengers. I know this was promised a while back, but we're finally getting around to it, and we're going to have Ramblin' Rob. You can find him on Instagram. He's a voice actor, he's Irish, he's really into the comics industry, and he's a good friend of the show. So we're going to have him on the show for the first time, making his Superior debut, to talk about the Avengers. So that is a really exciting episode. And I'm hoping to maybe, while the little brother is out, have guests in as much as possible. So if you're listening and you want to be a guest on the show, you're interested in comic books and superheroes, reach out to us at Superior Comics 16 on Twitter and Instagram, and the Superior Comics Show on Facebook. Yeah, that's all we have time for today. Thanks for listening, true believers, and we shall talk to you soon. We usually do our sign-offs here, don't we? Damn. Listen, we were inevitable. Peace.
Oh, I don't think you've ever known a woman like me.
What's happening?
I'm just pushing some people and run away.
Ride ain't over yet. My man.
My name is Oliver Queen.
What was that? I should kill everyone and escape? Sorry, the voices. I'm kidding. That's not what they really said.
The bat is dead. Bury it.
What are your superpowers again?
I'm rich. Fuck that man.
Don't freeze.
Dread it. Run from it. Destiny still arrives.
All the dinosaurs feared the T-Rex.
You are about to die at the hands of the children of Thanos.
Come on, Spider-Man!
Balance is closed today.
We don't want to kill you, but we will.
This is a man. I never freeze. There was no other way.
I don't feel so good.